Welcome to Heart Over Gold, the channel where love, kindness, and humanity shine brighter than any fortune. In today's story, on the glittering night of the San Juan Gala, Alicia Montoya believed she had finally rebuilt her world. Surrounded by chandeliers, whispers, and polished masks of high society, she prepared to face the man who had destroyed everything she once held dear, her husband, Javier. By his side stood Isabella, glowing with pregnancy, flaunting the betrayal Alicia had endured in silence. What no one at that grand ballroom knew was that Alicia carried a secret of her own, a surprise powerful enough to shake Javier's pride to its core. With her daughter Alicia watching, Alicia was no longer the humiliated wife. She was the woman who had been broken, rebuilt, and sharpened into someone far more dangerous. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments and keep up with our latest stories. The hidden scandal of San Juan night. The sharp crash of a crystal champagne flute echoed through the grand hall, shards glittering like scattered jewels across the spotless marble. A hush swept the room. Dozens of eyes turned toward Alicia Vance. Her face remained carefully composed, though her chest burned with shock. "Excuse me, what did you just say?" Her voice was calm, but inside, everything trembled. Across the glittering ballroom of their Marba estate, her husband of 25 years, Javier, stood with his arm wrapped protectively around a woman half his age. That woman, Sophia, had once been her daughter's closest friend. Now, at just 25, Sophia kept her eyes on the floor, unable to meet Alicia's gaze. "We're in love, Alicia." Javier's words cut through the silence, carrying to every corner of the charity gala. Gasps rippled through the crowd of 70 of Andalucia's most influential figures. Conversations froze, glasses hovered mid-air. Alicia Vance, at 50, had long been regarded as the unshakable matriarch of one of Seville's most prominent families. Her dark hair, streaked with silver, was pulled into a sleek chignon, and her black gown clung flawlessly to her frame despite the champagne stains from the dropped glass. 2 decades of practicing as one of Spain's top entertainment lawyers had trained her to never let the world see weakness. "Perhaps this is a conversation better suited for private," she suggested, her hazel eyes sweeping the crowd, already calculating the damage. "No more hiding," Javier slurred, the whiskey on his breath obvious. "No more secrets. I've been living behind locked doors too long." At that moment, Elena, her 28-year-old daughter, stormed forward. Her face was twisted in fury. "Dad, what the hell are you doing?" She spat, and with her, Sophia, really. Sophia's fingers nervously twisted, a small diamond necklace one Alicia instantly recognized. It was the same necklace Javier had claimed was lost in the mail 3 months earlier, meant as an anniversary gift for her. Whispers began spreading like wildfire. Alicia could almost hear the tapping of texts, the click of photos, the birth of a scandal on social media. In their world, reputation was currency and hers was devaluing by the second. "Please, enjoy the evening," Alicia's voice rang out, cool and commanding. "The silent auction continues in the garden pavilion. Our staff will see that everyone is served more champagne." With measured elegance, she crossed the room and laid a steady hand on Elena's arm. "Make sure our guests are cared for." It wasn't a request, was an order. Elena lifted her chin, her mother's determination mirrored in her eyes. "Of course, Mum." She turned, her glare slicing through her father, before guiding the stunned crowd toward the garden. Alicia then took Javier and Sophia firmly by the arm steering them toward her office. The click of the oak door shutting behind them was soft but final. 25 years of marriage, Alicia said coldly, and you choose to destroy it by humiliating me in front of half the city. Javier raked a hand through his graying hair. His bravado was already fading. It wasn't planned. I just couldn't live the lie anymore. What lie? Alicia's voice was dangerously steady. The lie that you were faithful, or the lie that you weren't sleeping with our daughter's college roommate. Sophia flinched at the words. Mrs. Vance, I never wanted silence. Alicia's tone cut like steel. You've eaten at my table, accepted my advice, worn my gifts. Whatever fantasy Javier painted for you, it doesn't matter. What you've done is unforgivable. Javier stepped forward, shielding Sophia. Don't blame her. This is about us. We haven't been happy for years. No, Javier, this is about you. It always has been. Alicia turned toward the window, the city lights burning below. You thought I didn't notice. The late meetings, the weekend trips, the charges that didn't add up. I knew. Christina from accounting, Sophia from Tokyo, and now this. Javier's eyes widened. Then why didn't you say anything? Because I believed in what we built. The firm, this family, our name. She gestured toward the family portraits lining the wall. I thought you'd grow up. But dragging her into my home, humiliating me in front of our daughter and our friends, that's a line you will regret crossing. Sophia's eyes widened in disbelief. There were others. Alicia almost pitied her. Almost, oh, sweet girl, you're not unique. Just the youngest. That's enough. Javier's face flushed. Don't act the victim. You were never there, always working, always chasing cases. What did you expect? The words struck deep, but Alicia didn't falter. Respect, Javier. That's all I expected. Her voice sharpened. Now, here's what's going to happen. You'll both leave through the service entrance. I'll return to our guests and salvage what I can. Tomorrow, your assistant can arrange for your belongings to be removed. Javier's jaw clenched. And if I refuse, this is my house too. Alicia's lips curved into a cold smile. Have you forgotten who represents half the judges in this province? Who drafted your contracts with clauses about moral conduct and public disgrace? Test me, and you'll watch everything you've built crumble overnight. For the first time, Javier looked uncertain. Just then, the door opened. Elena stepped inside, her glare like a blade. Some guests are leaving. Mum, Barbara Soler, sends her regrets. Alicia flinched. Barbara's husband controlled 3 streaming giants. The scandal was already spreading. Your father and Sophia were just leaving. Alicia said firmly. Elena crossed her arms, her anger focused on Sophia. If I were in charge, security would already be dragging you out. Don't, Elena. Javier tried. Don't you ever call me that again. Her voice broke. You chose yourself over us. You always have. Sophia finally looked up, tears streaking her cheeks. Elena, I'm so sorry. Save it. You're both dead to me. Javier's face hardened. Fine, but Alicia, don't fool yourself. I've been preparing for this. The company's finances aren't what you think. A chill swept through Alicia. What have you done? He smirked. What I had to. For years I've been the shadow of Alicia Vance. Now I take back my life. With Sophia at his side, he left. The silence in the office was crushing. "Mum." Elena's voice trembled. What did he mean about the finances? Before Alicia could answer, her phone buzzed relentlessly. Emails flooded her screen, urgent alerts from her bank, her lawyer, her accountant. Elena read over her shoulder, her face pale. "Mum, what's happening?" One email confirmed multiple transfers, millions gone. Another from Javier himself. "By the time you read this, it's too late. I've taken what I deserve. Don't bother searching." For the first time. That night, Alicia's hands shook. Her entire world, marriage, fortune, reputation, was collapsing. Elena whispered, "What are we going to do?" Alicia drew in a breath. The pain was still raw, but a spark of steel flickered in her eyes. Javier had underestimated her. He thought betrayal would break her. He had no idea what he had unleashed. "First," Alicia said firmly, straightening her gown, "we finish the evening. Vance women do not crumble. Not tonight. And then, Elena, we're going to destroy him." "What do you think of this new, determined Alicia? Do you think she can really take down Javier, a man who has already stolen millions?" The phoenix rises. The offices of Vance and Associates occupied the top 3 floors of a sleek glass tower in the center of the city. Alicia had built the firm from nothing, specializing in entertainment law and becoming the go-to attorney for Spain's elite. At 8 o'clock in the morning, she was seated at her desk, looking every inch the powerful attorney in a perfectly tailored charcoal suit, her makeup flawless despite having slept less than 2 hours. The vultures are circling. Her assistant, Marco, announced as he entered with her second coffee of the morning. He placed a pile of messages on her desk. 3 tabloids, 2 industry newsletters, and a magazine, all asking for comment on your domestic situation. Alicia took the coffee without looking up from her computer. Standard response: "Mrs. Vance has no comment at this time and requests privacy during this personal matter. It's done." Marco assured her. "Also, your 9 o'clock meeting with Atras Media is still on. But Warner Brothers wants to postpone their 11 o'clock meeting." He made air quotes with his fingers. Both knew what postpone really meant. "The sharks are smelling blood in the water. Tell Warner that I completely understand and suggest Thursday instead." Alicia replied, projecting a confidence she didn't entirely feel, and remind them that the option on the legacy script expires on Friday. Marco smiled. The legacy script was a highly coveted property, and Warner wouldn't risk losing it over personal gossip. "I'll do that. Oh, and Thor's someone waiting to see you. He wouldn't give his name, but he says you'll want to hear what he has to say about Javier." Alicia's head snapped up. "Show him in." Minutes later, a man in his 30s, with a nervous air, stood in front of her desk. He kept fidgeting with his watch, avoiding direct eye contact. "I'm very busy," Mr. Alicia prompted him. "Garcia, Alex, Garcia." He swallowed hard. I'm the financial controller for Ruiz Productions." Now Alicia was interested. "Have a seat, Mr. Garcia. What exactly brings you here?" Alex sat on the edge of the guest chair. "I've been trying to locate Mr. Thorne since last night," his assistant said. "He's taking an extended leave of absence, effective immediately. But before he left, he had me process several lager transfers to a holding company I'd never heard of. He said it was for a new production deal." "How large?" Alicia kept her voice neutral despite her racing pulse. 12 million, Alex's voice cracked slightly. "Almost everything in the company's accounts." Alicia managed NATO react outwardly, but her mind was spinning. Combined with the personal accounts, Javier had taken over 16 million euros, money that represented years of their shared work and sacrifice. When I couldn't locate him, I started looking into this holding company. Alex Gongtund was incorporated in the Cayman Islands just 3 months ago. Heplast a folder on her desk. The paperwork lists Sofia Iglesias as the principal director. Sofia, Alicia, couldn't hide her surprise. The girl had seemed like a trophy, a midlife crisis cliché. This suggested something much more calculated. Alex nodded. There's more. For the past year, Mr. Thorne has been systematically moving the intellectual property rights of Ruiz Productions to this new entity. Film rights, development deals, everything of value. Now, Alicia understood. Javier hadn't just stolen money. He had dismantled the company from the inside. Without its intellectual property portfolio, Ruiz Productions was essentially worthless. Why are you telling me this, Mr. Garcia? Alicia asked cautiously. You work for my husband. Alex straightened his shoulders, finally making eye contact. Because what he did wasn't just wrong, it was illegal. And because I have a family, too, he hesitated. And because you once helped my sister keep custody of her children when her ex tried to take them away. She couldn't afford your fees, but you took her case anyway. Alicia vaguely remembered the case from years ago, a pro bono matter she had taken on after hearing about the woman's situation through a mutual acquaintance. She had forgotten the details, but the gesture had clearly meant something to Alex. I appreciate your integrity, Mr. Garcia, Alicia said sincerely. Is there anything else you can tell me about my husband's plans or whereabouts? Alex shook his head. He was careful. Buff reached into his pocket and slid a small USB drive across the desk. These copies of all the transactions, corporate, records, and emails I could access, including some exchanges between Mr. Thorne and Ms. Iglesias from almost a year ago. Alicia's fingers closed round the drive. Evidence, ammunition. Thank you, Mr. Garcia. You have taken a significant risk by coming here. I'll probably lose my job, he acknowledged with a grim smile. Not necessarily. An idea was forming in Alicia's mind. How would you feel about continuing to work at Ruiz Productions, but reporting to a new management? By midday, Alicia had assembled her crisis team in the firm's main conference room. Mira was at her right, while Alina had insisted on joining. Despite Alicia's concerns about exposing her to the more unpleasant details, completing the group were Daniel Perez. The family's trusted financial advisor had flown from Madrid, and Sophia White, a former forensic accountant, 4th National Police, who now specialized in tracing hidden assets in high-profile divorces. The good news, if you can call it that, Daniel began, is that we managed to freeze about 2 million in domestic accounts. The bad news is that bulk of the money is already in jurisdictions with limited cooperation with Spanish authorities. Sophia nodded. The Cayman Islands entity is just the first layer. I'm seeing evidence of more transfers to Singapore and possibly Malta. A classic money-laundering pattern. And Sofia Iglesias? Alina asked, her voice tight with barely contained anger. What do we know about her? Mira opened a file on the large screen. Sofia Maria Iglesias, 25, graduated from the University of Granada last year, where she shared a room with Alina. No criminal record, nothing remarkable. She clicked to the next slide. However, her mother is Carmen Iglesias Petro. A photo appeared of an elegant blonde woman standing next to a stern-looking older man, the fourth wife of Victor Petro. Mira continued, a Russian real estate developer with questionable business connections, and a history of fraud accusations, though nothing has ever. Alicia absorbed this revelation, the pieces clicking into place. So Sophia wasn't just a young girl infatuated with my husband. This was planned, a long-term con. It appears so, Sophia affirmed. The timeline suggests Sophia was deliberately placed to get close to your family. Her random assignment as Alina's roommate was like a chest raid. Alina looked physically ill. She was my friend for 3 years. She came home with MAR holidays. Her voice trailed off, the magnitude of the betrayal sinking him. Alicia reached out and squeezed her daughter's hand. Another layer of violation. Not just her husband's betrayal, but a calculated attack on her daughter. There's something else. Mira added reluctantly. The company's insurance policies were modified 6 months ago. The corporate liability coverage was downgraded. But Javier's life insurance policy was increased to €5 million, with Sophia as the contingent beneficiary. A chill ran through the room as the implications became clear. He never planned to grow old with her, Alicia said slowly. She's his exit strategy. Once they had the money secured, what would stop her from also making sure she got the insurance payout? We need to find him, Alina insisted before she couldn't finish the sentence. Daniel cleared his throat. There's a more immediate problem. Without the company's assets or cash reserves, we're facing serious liquidity issues. The firm can continue to operate, but Ruiz Productions is essentially a shell now, and the personal accounts are almost empty. What about the house payments? Alina asked anxiously. I've covered the next 3 months with my personal emergency fund, Alicia assured her. But Daniel is right. We need to think strategically about our financial position in the future. You should sell the house, Mira suggested softly. It's your biggest asset, and given the market. No, Alicia Stone left no room for discussion. Javier knows that's what I'd be forced to do. He's counting on it. I won't give him that satisfaction. An uncomfortable silence fell over the group. Alicia had always been the voice of pragmatic reason, but this refusal to consider the obvious solution surprised them. Mum, Alina began cautiously. If we can't afford, I said no. Alicia stood up abruptly, walking to the window that overlooked the city skyline. I came from nothing. I built all of this. From nothing. I'm not going to back down. We'll find another way. Sophia White, who had been quietly studying her tablet, looked up. There might be another option. It's not exactly by the book, but it could work. All eyes turned to her. We know Javier and Sophia are moving money through multiple jurisdictions, but eventually they'll have to surface, Sophia White explained. When they do, if we can document illegal activity, fraud, money laundering, tax evasion, we could potentially trigger asset forfeit. And how do we document their activities if they're overseas? Daniel asked with skepticism. Sophia's lips curved into a slight smile. I have contacts from my days in international police, people who operate in grey areas when it comes to information gathering. Are you talking about hackers? Elena said. I prefer to call them specialized financial investigators. Sophia White replied with a shrug. But essentially, yes. Alicia turned from the window, her expression unreadable. The old Alicia, the strictly ethical by-the-book lawyer, would never consider such methods. But that Alicia had then seen her husband empty their accounts and run off with her daughter's friend. Do it, she decided. But I don't want details, just results. Mira exchanged worried glances with Daniel. This new, harder Alicia was venturing into dangerous territory. The conference room door suddenly burst open and Marco ran in, his usually calm demeanor visibly flustered. "Mrs. Vance," he said with urgency, "you need to see this immediately." He handed Alicia his tablet, open to a breaking news article. The headline chilled her blood. Real estate developer Javier Thorne named in federal investigation for financial crimes and organized crime connections. Below the headline was a photo of Javier Rand, Sophia boarding a private jet, and further down a photo of Alicia herself with the caption "Sources question how much prominent lawyer Alicia Vance knew about her husband's alleged criminal activities. They're trying to drag you down with him," Mira whispered, reading over Alicia's shoulder. "No," Alicia said, her voice deadly calm as she processed this new attack. "He's making sure that even if I do find him, I'll be too busy defending myself too. Go after him." Shay handed the tablet back to Marco. "Get the crisis management team in here now." Booters, the room erupted in activity. Alicia's phone vibrated with an incoming text message. "Unknown number 4, an area code." The message was simple. "You should have paid more attention to your marriage than your career. Enjoy the consequences, darling. The Phoenix, a calculated revenge. Don't forget to leave your comments after this intense part. What would you do in Alicia's place? And share this video with someone who needs a dose of adrenaline." The final play. 3 weeks after the crisis began, Alicia was alone in her office. The glow of her laptop screen illuminated her face in the dark room. Sleep had become a luxury she couldn't afford. The federal investigation into Javier's business had expanded to include scrutiny of her firm's involvement in Ruiz Productions. Two major clients had already jumped ship, citing reputational concerns. She scrolled through the latest batch of emails that Sophia White had recovered from Javier's secret accounts. The evidence of his betrayal had been meticulously documented. His affair with Sofia Iglesias had begun more than a year ago, with clear indications that her connection to Alina had been deliberately orchestrated. A soft knock on the door interrupted. Her thoughts come in, she called without looking up. Alina entered, carrying 2 cups of tea. "It's 2 o'clock in the morning. You should be sleeping." Alicia accepted the steaming cup with gratitude. "I'll sleep when we find him." Alina sat in the chair across from her mother's desk. At 28, she had her mother's determination, but tempered with a sweetness Alicia sometimes envied. These past few weeks had aged them both, drawing new lines around Elena's eyes that weren't there before. "Anything new?" Elena asked, pointing at the screen. "Just more evidence of how thoroughly your father planned this." Alicia closed the laptop. To exhaust Ado, protect her daughter from the ugliness any longer. The company's accounts were being drained for months. Small amounts, nothing that would trigger any alerts. Elena's jaw tightened, "And I introduced Sophia Tor's family, brought her into our home." "You couldn't have known," Alicia said softly. "None of us saw it coming." "You did," Alina retorted. "You knew Abutha's affairs. You just never told me." The accusation hung between them, not entirely unfair. Alicia had always handled problems herself, shielding Lena from the harsh realities, just as she had been doing since Elena was a child. "I thought I was protecting you," Alicia admitted. "Maybe I was wrong." Eleanor's expression softened. "I'm not a child anymore, Mum. We're in this together." The moment of connection was interrupted by Alicia's phone vibrating. Sophia White's name flashed on the screen. "It's midnight," Alicia answered out with concern. Alicia answered immediately. "Tell me you have something." Sophia White's voice was tight with emotion. "We found them, San Barom Island. They've been there for at least a week, staying in a private villa under the name of Iglesias. Alicia's pulse quickened. Are you sure? Facial recognition caught them at a restaurant near Gustavia last night. And there's more. They've booked a yacht for tomorrow, bound for Venezuela. According to the charter company's records, Venezuela. No extradition treaty with Spain. If Javier got there, getting Thermoni back would be next to impossible. How long do we have? Alicia asked, already calculating. The yacht leaves at noon, local time. That's Sophia White paused. About 10 hours from now. Alina watched her mother's face, instantly alerted to the shift in energy. What's wrong? Did Joe find Dad? Alicia held up a finger, still focused on the call. Can you get Metha in time? Sophia White hesitated. Technically, yes. My contact has a private yacht that could get you to Sandbar. But Alicia, what exactly are you planning to do? It was a fair question. What options did she really have? Even if she confronted Javier, he could simply deny everything. The money was already gone, laundered through a complex web of offshore accounts. And with the federal investigation hanging over her head, any overt action could be interpreted as obstruction of justice, or worse. I have to try, Alicia said. Simply send him the details. After ending the call, she quickly explained the situation to Alina. I'm coming with you, Alina insisted. Immediately, Alicia shook her head. Absolutely not. I need you here coordinating with Mira and the legal team. If the feds show up while I'm not. You mean if they realize you fled Thekentry while you're under investigation? Elena's voice rose with alarm. Mom, this is crazy. You can't just confront Dad on a Caribbean island. What are you going to do? Drag him back by his lapels? I don't know yet, Alicia admitted. Beautif, I can get him to confess, to admit what he's done officially, and if he refuses, or if Sophia's family is involved with real criminals, as Mira suggested. Alina leaned forward, her eyes intense. This isn't a courtroom. You can't control what happens. Alicia's phone vibrated again with the incoming flight details. 3 hours to departure from a private airfield. I have to try, she repeated, standing up to pack a small travel bag. I can't just sit here and watch everything we built disappear. Alina followed her mother to the bedroom, still arguing. At least take someone with you. Security or no one else can be involved in this. Alicia took a black dress from her closet, elegant but practical. The fewer people who know, the better. Alina watched helplessly as her mother efficiently packed. The essentials. Promise me you'll be careful, that you'll turn back if something feels wrong. Alicia paused, meeting her daughter's worried gaze. For a moment, their roles seemed reversed. Alina, the worried mother. Alicia, the reckless daughter. I promise, she said, though they both knew it wasn't entirely sincere. The small private jet landed on San Bartolom's notoriously challenging Grui just after 8 a.m. local time. Alicia had spent the flight reviewing everything Sophia White's team had uncovered. Financial records, email exchanges, property deeds. The deeper she went, the more elaborate Javier's betrayal seemed. As the small plane taxied to a stop, Alicia felt a surge of doubt. What was she really doing here? Even if she confronted Javier, what could she possibly accomplish? The practical, logical lawyer in her knew this was a fool's errand. But the wounded wife, their protective mother, those parts of her demanded this confrontation. An elegant black car was waiting on the tarmac, courtesy of Sophia White's mysterious contacts. The driver, a local man who introduced himself only as one, seemed to know exactly where to take her. Villa Paraiso, he confirmed as they snaked along the island's narrow coastal roads. Very exclusive, very private. Alicia looked at the impossibly blue waters of the Caribbean, so at odds with darkness of her purpose. How far is the marina where the yacht is docked? 10 minutes, maybe. It's a small island. Juan looked at her in the rearview mirror. You're here for business. Most come for pleasure. I'm here to settle a debt, Alicia replied, her voice clipped. The villa came into view on the next curve. A stunning white structure echoed on the hillside overlooking a pristine private beach. Alicia instructed Juan to drive past without slowing down, which allowed her to observe without being noticed. Through the villa's wide glass walls, she could make out movement, perhaps staff, preparing for the day. There was no sign of Javier or Sofia yet. Take me to the marina, she decided. I need to see the yacht. 20 minutes later, Alicia was on the boardwalk of the Gustavia Marina watching supplies being loaded onto an opulent 27 meters yacht Nemedal Escape. The irony of the name was not lost on her. A young dock worker was supervising the loading of several cases of champagne. Alicia walked up to him, putting on her most charming smile. What a beautiful vessel, she commented. Private charter. The young man nodded enthusiastically. Are they heading to Venezuela today? He puffed up with importance. Very rich clients. I imagine they've requested special accommodations. Alicia inquired softly, sliding a Euro 100 bill into his hand. His eyes widened at the unexpected tip. Oh yes, ma. Everything of the finest quality. The gentleman specifically requested Krugi Pain and Beluga caviar. He leaned closer, and the captain has been instructed to prepare for a special celebration. A surprise wedding at C. I think a wedding, and the word hit Alicia like a physical blow. Javier was just running away with Sofia. He was planning to marry her, which meant he intended to divorce Alicia in absentia, probably by alleging abandonment. I see, she managed to say. Her smile never faltered despite the rage building inside her. And when did the passenger serif? Around 11, I think. The yacht leaves at noon. Alicia looked at her watch. 9:07 a.m., less than 2 hours to intercept. Javier, before he boarded, docked and disappeared forever. Returning to the waiting car, Alicia instructed Juan to go back to Valparaiso. This time, however, she told him to drop her off at the public beach adjacent to the private property. Will you be coming back, ma'am? Juan asked, as she paid him generously. I'm not sure, Alicia admitted, but I'd appreciate your discretion, all the same, alone on the beach. Alicia took off her linen blazerand heels, leaving them under a palm tree. In her simple black dress, she could almost pass for another wealthy tourist enjoying a morning stroll. She began walking casually along Thiersch Orlean, approaching the villa's private beach from an angle that wouldn't draw immediate attention. As he got closer, Alicia saw them. Javier and Sofia lounging on the villa's oceanfront terrace, enjoying what looked like a leisurely breakfast. The sight of her husband of 25 years, sitting across from the young woman, both of them loring carelessly, sent a wave of cold fury through Alicia. She was close enough now to see the details. Sofia was wearing what looked like new diamond-studded earrings. Javier was in expensive linen pants she had never seen before. The evidence of their spending of stolen money was in plain sight. Alicia stopped behind a rock formation at the edge of the private beach. Considering her approach, a direct confrontation seemed reckless. Javier could simply run, or worse, call the local authorities. she needed an edge. Her phone vibrated with an incoming text message from Sophia White. New info. Call immediately. Hiding behind Therix, Alicia dialed Sophia White's number. I'm here in San Bartle, she whispered when Sophia White answered, about to confront Javier. No. Sophia White's voice was urgent. There's something you need to know first. The money trail isn't what we thought. Financial transfers went to the Cayman Islands entity. Yes, but from there, the bulk of the money, as we expected, went to Sophia's accounts and then to a series of numbered accounts linked to Victor Petro, Sophia's stepfather. Victor is not just a shady businessman. He's under active investigation by multiple agencies for money laundering for the Russian mafia. And the pattern of transfers from Javier's accounts looks exactly like a payment for services rendered. A cold understanding dawned on Alicia. Javier had been laundering money through his production company. It appears so, Sophia White confirmed. And given the timing of when these transfers started, he's been doing it for years. Exactly. And if he's with Petrov's people in Venezuela, this isn't just about running away with Sophia. Alicia realized he's in trouble with these people, which is why he needs to disappear. As if to confirm her theory, a sleek silver Mercedes pulled up to the villa. Two burly men in dark suits got out, their posture and watchful eyes immediately identifying them as security personnel. Alicia ducked lower behind the rocks, watching as the men approached Javier and Sophia. The conversation seemed tense. Javier gesticulated emphatically. Heil Sophia placed a reassuring hand on his arm. One of the men handed Javier a phone. I think Petrov's people are here, Alicia whispered into her phone. Watchhold, I do. Before Sophia White could answer, Alicia heard a sound from behind her. Footsteps on the sand. She turned to find a third security man standing over her, his expression impassive, his hand inside his jacket in a way that suggested he was armed. Mrs. Vance, he said with a thick Eastern European accent, Mr. Petro wishes to speak with you. The interior of the villa was as luxurious as its exterior, all white marble and glass with stunning ocean views from every room. Alicia was escorted through the open living area to the terrace, where Javier and Sophia were, frozen in shock at her appearance. Alicia, Javier gasped, his face pulling how. Javier, she replied, her voice cold. A charming vacation spot, although I'm surprised. You can afford it on a stolen budget. Sophia stood up abruptly, knocking over her mimosa. You shouldn't be here, and yet here I am. Alicia turned to the security men. I believe Mr. Petro wanted to speak with me. As if on cue, the phone on the table vibrated. One of the guards picked it up, activating the speakerphone function. Mrs. Vance, a deep accented voice boomed from the device. I apologize for not welcoming you in person. Travel restrictions, you understand. Mr. Petro, I presume, Alicia replied, maintaining her composed despite the surreal situation. I'm afraid I don't quite understand what's happening here. No, I imagine. You don't. Petrov's voice had a hint of amusement. Your husband has been cheating many people, including you and including me. Javier's eyes flickered frantically between the phone and Alicia. Victor, I can explain. The money is coming. Silence. Petrov's single word was in auto. Make Javier flinch. Mrs. Vance, are you aware that your husband has been using his production company to launder money for certain business associates of mine for the past 5 years? I'm just finding out, Alicia said cautiously, watching Javier's face wrinkle with fear. And you know that he recently tried to, how do you say, betray these associates, keeping a significant portion of the funds for himself. Now it all clicked. Javier had not only been stealing from her, but had been stealing from dangerous criminals. I was not aware of that. No, Alicia admitted, although I'm not surprised. But Sophia sidled up to Javier, her previous confidence replaced by visible terror. Victor, please. We were going to give the money back. Javier just needed time. Time has already expired, Petro interrupted coldly. However, Mrs. Vance's unexpected arrival presents an interesting opportunity. Alicia felt all the attention on. The terrace turned to her. She straightened her shoulders. Her lawyer instincts kicked in despite the danger. What kind of opportunity, Mr. Petro? Your husband has stolen 12 million euros from my money that must be returned with appropriate compensation for the inconvenience. I don't have access to that money, Alicia stated flatly. Javier made sure of that. No, but you have something potentially more valuable. Your legal expertise, your connections in Hollywood, your ability to continue the financial arrangements that Javier has so carelessly jeopardized. The ice formed in Alicia's veins as she understood what Petrov was suggesting. He wanted her to take over Javier's money laundering operation to compromise everything she had built, everything she believed in. What if I refuse? She asked, already knowing the answer. Then my associates will be very disappointed with all of you. The threat hung in the air, unmistakable in its implication. Alicia looked at Javier, the man she had loved, the one with whom she had built a life, the one with whom she had a daughter, now cringing in fear at the consequences of his actions. I need time to consider, she said finally. You haven't till the yacht sails, Petrov replied. Noon, the phone call ended, leaving a heavy silence on the terrace. The security men retreated to a discreet distance, still watchful, but giving them a semblance of privacy. Javier approached Alicia, his voice low and desperate. Alicia, you have to help us. These people are serious. They'll kill us. Us. Alicia's voice was ice. There is no us, Javier. You made that perfectly clear when you emptied our accounts and ran off with Elena's friend. I know I hurt you, he pleaded. But this is life or death for me, for Sophia. He hesitated. Then he played his final card. For Elena, too. The mention of their daughter's name again sent a shiver through Alicia. Don't you dare threaten Elena. It's not a threat, it's reality, Javier insisted. Once you're on their radar, everyone you care about is at risk. Sophia walked up cautiously. I know you hate. Me and you have every right to, but please help us find a way out of this. Alicia studied the young woman who had betrayed her daughter's trust and stolen her husband. Sophia was trembling, the confident seductress, now replaced by a terrified girl out of her depth. Did you know, Alicia asked her directly, about the money, laundering, the stolen funds, all of it? Sophia hesitated, then nodded slightly. Not a lot of it, not at first, but enough. Victor said it would be easy. Just get close to Elena, then to Javier. You never thought there would be consequences. Alicia finished for her, turning back to Javier. Alicia saw him clearly for the first time in years, not the charismatic producer. She had fallen in love with not the successful businessman she had believed him to be, but a weak, selfish man who had gambled everything, including his family for money and ego. Where is the money, Javier? She'd murmured. The truth for once. Javier looked nervously at the security men. Most of it went to Petrov's people. The rest various accounts in Singapore, Switzerland. He swallowed hard. But it's not enough. I took too much I ran too many risks. They want 20 million now as a penalty, which you don't have, Alicia answered flatly. No one has that kind of liquid cash, Javier argued desperately. That's why they want you involved. Your client list, your connections. You could help restructure the operation, make it more secure. Alicia laughed bitterly. You want me to become a criminal to save you from the consequences of your crimes? Is that your solution? It's the only solution, Javier hissed. Otherwise, we're all dead. You, me, Sophia. He hesitated again. Alina. The mention of their daughter's name again sent a chill down Alicia's spine. She looked at her watch. 10:45 a.m. Just over an hour until the yacht sailed. The deadline Petrov had given her. Her phone vibrated with a text message from an unknown number. Package delivered to Marina. Keyword Phoenix. Alicia had not ordered a package. This had to be from Sophia White's contacts. But what did it mean? As she contemplated her next move, Onov, the security man, approached, holding a satellite phone. Call for you, Mrs. Vance. Taking the phone cautiously, Alicia moved away from Javier and Sophia. Hello, Mom. Elena's voice came through loud and clear. Don't react. Just listen. We know where you are. Help is on the way, but you need to get everyone to the yacht before noon. Exactly as planned. Do you understand? Alicia's mind raced. Alina shouldn't know these details, unless Sophia White had contacted her after their last call. I understand, she replied cautiously. Good, and Mum, do you remember what you taught me about poker? Sometimes you have to play the hand you're dealt, even when it's a terrible one. The line went dead. Alicia returned the satellite phone to the guard, her thoughts swirling. Alina was telling her to follow Petrov's plan, at least temporarily. Returning to Javier and Sophia, Alicia put on a show of resignation. Fine, I'll do what I can to help, but I need to understand exactly what Petro expects of me. Javier's relief was palpable. Thank you, Alicia. I knew you'd come to your senses. Don't mistake self-preservation for forgiveness, she replied coldly. Now, tell me everything, starting with the depth of this operation and who else is involved. While Javier began to explain the complex money laundering scheme, Alicia's phone vibrated again. Antifor text from the unknown number. Phoenix activated. On the yacht, stay below deck at 12:15. Alicia slipped her phone into her pocket, careful to keep her expressional despot, the cryptic message. Phoenix activated. Whatever Alina and Sophia White had planned, it was already in motion. The yacht is waiting, one of the security men announced, looking at his watch. We must go now to meet the schedule. Javier nodded nervously, gathering his things. Of course, we're ready. Sophia walked over to him, clinging to his arm like a life raft. The young woman's hand was visibly trembling. Her previous bravado had completely evaporated now that she was facing the consequences of her decisions. The walk to the marina took less than 15 minutes, the securityman flanking them in 2 separate vehicles. Alicia sat in silence, watching the idyllic Caribbean scenery pass by in stark contrast to the dangers surrounding them. She found herself studying Javier in profile, the man she had shared almost 2 decades with, now a stranger. Had he always been this person, or had he changed? Had she been blind, or had he been so good at hiding his true nature? When they arrived at the marina, she could see the gleaming white yacht floating gently on thick crystal clearer water. Dell's escape indeed. One of the security men handed Javier a satellite phone. Mr. Petrov wishes to speak with you before you board. The phone, visibly nervous. Victor, we're at the marina, he paused, listening. Yes, Alicia has agreed to help with the restructuring. Another pause. Of course, I understand the terms completely. What Petrov said next made Javier's face go pale. He looked at Alicia, then quickly looked away. Yes, she's here. He handed the phone over reluctantly. Mrs. Vance. Petrov's accented voice came through clearly. I trust you've had time to consider yet your position. Yes, Alicia replied firmly. I understand what is required. Good. Once on board, my people will provide you with secure communication channels. You will begin contacting your key clients immediately to arrange their new financial structures, and your family's safety will be guaranteed. Alicia pressed him. A dry laugh echoed on the line. Mrs. Vance, in my experience, the best guarantee of safety is mutual benefit. You provide valuable services. We provide protection. It's a beautiness. And Javier and Sophia, he was careful to keep his tone neutral. They will remain with us until the arrangements are solidified. Consider them collateral. The implication was clear. They were hostages for her compliance. I understand, Alicia said again, without braying the turmoil beneath her composed exterior. Excellent. Welcome to the organization, Mrs. Vance. The line went dead. Alicia returned the phone to the security man, avoiding Javier's questioning gaze. Her phone clock read 11 a.m. 10 minutes until the yacht's scheduled departure. 25 minutes until whatever was supposed to happen with Phoenix. Alicia and the security team escorted them to the yacht, where the captain greeted them with a professional courtesy that betrayed no knowledge of the trip's true nature. The vessel was opulent, all gleaming teak and polished chrome with plush white furniture throughout. Please make yourselves comfortable, the captain said. We will be sailing shortly. 2 more men in dark suits were already on board, bringing their security details. 05. Alicia noted their positions, the subtle bulges of weapons, Benethia jackets, the way they communicated with small gestures and glances. These were not hired thugs. They were professionals. Exactly at noon, the yacht's engines roared to life. The moorings were cast off, and they began to pull away from San Bartolome. Alicia went to the stern, watching Ast Island slowly receded. 15 minutes until whatever Elena and Sophia White had planned would unfold. Javier appeared beside her, speaking in a low voice. What did Petrov tell you? That you and Sophia are collateral tonsure. My cooperation, she replied without looking at him. Javier pulled further. Alicia, I never wanted any of this to happen. For the first time since Sesh had discovered his betrayal, Alicia looked directly into her husband's eyes. Yes, Javier, you did. Maybe not exactly like this, but you made decisions that led to this. At every step of the way you chose yourself over everyone else. That's not fair, he protested weakly. Fair, Alicia let out a soft bitter. You stole everything we built together. You involved our family in criminal enterprises. You put our daughter in danger. And now you want to talk about what's fair. Before Javier could respond, one of the security men approached. Mrs. Vance, please come with him. Mr. Petro wishes to set up the secure communication channel immediately. Perfect timing. Alicia looked at her watch. 12:10 p.m. of course. I'll go too, Javier began, but the guard held up his hand. Only Mrs. Vance, you and Mrs. Eiglacius will remain on deck. Alicia followed the man below, counting seconds in her head. 5 minutes until 12:15. Her heart pounded against her ribs. Ars tried to imagine what might be coming. A rescue team, Some kind of distraction. Whatever it was, Alina had instructed her to stay below deck. Alicia took a deep breath to steady herself. She splashed her face with cold water and studied her reflection in the mirror. The woman looking back at her had changed. From the perfectly poised lawyer of 3 weeks ago, there was a new hardness in her eyes, a determination born from betrayal and the fierce instinct to protect what was left of her family. Her watch read 12:15 p.m. For several seconds. Nothing happened. Then a subtle vibration went through the yacht. So fainty she almost thought she had imagined it. It was followed by a distant sound, something between a bang and a dull thud. The yacht's engines suddenly cut out. The steady hum died down to an idle. Shouts erupted from the top deck. Multiple voices shouted commands in different languages. Heavy footsteps stompied above. Alicia opened the bathroom door cautiously, peering out into the guard who had escorted her was gone, presumably responding to whatever was happening above. Another sound reached her. The unmistakable blaring of helicopter rotors, close and getting closer. Moving quickly but quietly, Alicia made her way to a small porthole in the communications room. Through the circular window, she could see a sleek black helicopter hovering just above the bow of the yacht. Men in tactical gear were rappelling down to the deck. They weren't military. Their gear was not uniform enough, but they were definitely professionals. The door to the communications room burst open. Alicia whirled, bracing for confrontation. But instead, she found Sophia standing there, her eyes wide and breathless. "What's happening?" the young woman demanded. "Who are those men?" "I don't know," Alicia lied smoothly. "Where's Javier?" "They have him on deck. The guards think it's a rival organization trying a takeover." Sophia's voice trembled with fear. "Are they going to kill us?" Before Alicia could answer, the yacht suddenly held violently. The sound of gunfire erupted above them. Short, controlled bursts, rather than wild shots. "Professional work. Stay here," Alicia ordered, pushing past Sophia into the hallway. "Where are you going?" Sophia grabbed her arm. "We need to hide." Alicia shook the girl's hand off firmly. "I need to find Javier." "Why? After everything he did to you?" Sophia's incomprehension was genuine. "Because he's still Alicia's father," Alicia replied simply. She headed for the stairs leading to the deck, moving carefully, aware that any of pet men could appear at any moment. When she reached the bottom of the stairs, the yacht's engines suddenly roared to life again, but with a different note than before. They were moving fast and changing direction. The sounds of conflict from above had ceased. Footsteps approached, multiplined, purposeful. Javier pushed Sophia behind him, positioning himself between the door and the women. It was the first genuine gesture of protection Alicia had seen from him in years. The door opened. A man in tactical gear stood there, his face hidden behind a professional-grade mask. An assault rifle was at the ready butt pointed down. Alicia Vance. His voice was Spanish, with no discernible accent. "Yes," she replied, taking a step forward. "Your daughter sends her regards." He gestured with his free hand. "We need to move, now." "Javier, step it forward." "I'll go too." The man's posture shifted subtly. The rifle was adjusted. "The orders are only for Mrs. Vance. You will wait," Alicia intervened. "They come with me, or I don't go." The man seemed to hesitate. Then he touched his ear, apparently receiving instructions through an earpiece. After a moment, he nodded abruptly. "Fine, all of you, move." They were escorted to the deck where the signs of the battle were evident. Bullet holes in the polished wood, shattered glass from the pilot's cabin, scorch marks from what must have been the explosion they had heard. Petrov's security team was nowhere in sight. The black helicopter hovered 20 feet above the yacht. A rope ladder hung down Tuth deck. 3 more men in tactical gear secured the perimeter, their weapons at the ready. "Ladies first," their escort said, gesturing to Thel. Sophia seemed terrified at the prospect of climbing the ladder swaying over the water. Alicia stepped forward, placing a firm hand on the young woman's back. "You can do it, just one rung at a time." With trembling hands, Sophia began to climb. When she was halfway up, Alicia turned to Javier. "You're next." He hesitated, looking around wildly as if searching for another option. "Alicia, I don't know who these people are. This could be Otrap." "It's Alina," she said simply. "She sent help." Javier's eyes widened in disbelief. "Alina arranged this. How could she?" "Because she's my daughter," Alicia replied. "Now get on." Javier began his ascent, moving awkwardly but steadily. When he reached the helicopter, hands reached down to pull him in. Alicia approached the ladder last, but the tactical team leader stopped her with a light touch on the arm. "There's always Avon's hour," he said in a low voice close to her ear, so only she could hear. "Ushold, know that this is not exactly a rescue mission." A cold apprehension filed her. "What do you mean? Your daughter paid us to extract her. What happens next is none of our business." He pressed something into her hand, a small USB drive. "She said you would need it." Before Alicia could reply, a distant sound caught her attention. Engines approaching quickly. She turned to see 2 speedboats racing toward the yacht, each carrying what looked like more armed men. Petrov's reinforcements, Thetum leader confirmed. "It's time to go." Alicia scrambled up the ladder, her men dressing. When she reached the helicopter, Hans pulled her aboard. The interior was sparse and utilitarian, clearly not a civilian aircraft. Javier and Sophia were huddled in a bench seat, their safety harnesses already buckled. As soon as Alicia was safely inside, the helicopter heeled sharply away from the yacht, quickly gaining altitude and speed. Through the window, she watched us, the speedboats, reach the yacht. Men clambered aboard. They had escaped. "Just in time. Are you okay?" Javier yelled over the roar of the rotors. Alicia nodded distractedly, her attention focused on the USB drive in her palm. What had Alina sent her? And what had the team leader meant by not a rescue mission? One of the helicopter crew handed her a headset pointing to a switch on the side. When she put it on and activated it, the rotor noise was muted, replaced by clear audio. "Mom," Elena's voice came through, slightly distorted but unmistakable. "Can you hear me, Elena?" Relief flooded through Alicia. "Yes, I can hear you. Are you safe? Are you hurt? Is Dad with you?" "We're both unharmed," Alina confirmed. "Sois, Sophia." A brief pause. "Good. Listen carefully. The helicopter is taking you to a private airfield in Puerto Rico. From there, a plane will take you to a location I've arranged." "Alina, how did you arrange all this?" "These men are professionals. Let's just say Sophia White's contacts her, very effective when properly motivated." Elena's voice hardened slightly. "Did they give you the drive?" Alicia gripped the small device. "Yes. What's on it?" "Everything we need to take Dad down permanently." Alina replied without hesitation. "Financial records, communications with Petro, evidence of years of money laundering, and a taped confession from Sophia's mother about the whole scheme." Javier's face was drained of color as he listened to this through his own headset. Sophia looked confused, clearly unable to hear the conversation. Alicia said cautiously, "What exactly are you planning?" "Justice, Mum. Dad stole from us. He put us in danger. He betrayed us." Elena's voice trembled slightly with emotion. "He needs to pay for what he's done." Something in her daughter's tone sent a chill through Alicia. This was no longer just a butchery. This was revenge. "We'll discuss it when I see you," Alicia said, trying to sound calm and reasonable. "Where exactly are we meeting?" Another pause. "Longer this time. I won't be at the location, Mum. Not yet. There's something I need to take care of first." "Alina, whatever you're thinking, it's already done," Alina cut her off. "By the time you land, everything will be in motion. The evidence on that drive is a falef. Use it if you have to, but only if you have it though." The line went silent. Alicia tried calling Elena's name several times, but there was no response. The crew member who had given her the headset made a throat-cutting gesture. Communication to Rat. Javier was staring at her, his face pale. "What is Alina doing?" "What has she done? I don't know," Alicia admitted. A growing sense of dread settled in her stomach. "But I think our daughter just outsmarted us both." The helicopter continued its journey across the Caribbean toward Puerto Rico. The bright tropical sun belied the dark uncertainties that lay ahead. Alicia looked at the USB drive in her hand, then at Javier, the husband who had betrayed her, the father who had put her daughter in danger, the man who had set this whole nightmare in motion. For the first time in their marriage, she saw real fear in his eyes. Not fear of Petro or his men, not fear for his own safety, but fear of the consequence of his actions finally catching up to him. Fear of what their daughter might be capable of. "What did you teach her?" Javier whispered, his voice buried over the muted roar of the rotor. Alicia thought about the Alina she knew. Brilliant, determined, fiercely protective of those she loved. The daughter who had watched and learned from both her parents all her life. From her father, charm, calculated risks, thought of the deal. From her mother, strategy, persistence, and an iron will. "I didn't teach her anything she didn't already." "No," Alicia replied in a low voice. "I just showed her how to use it." As the Puerto Rican coastline came into view, Alicia's phone vibrated one last time. A final message from the unknown number. Phoenix completed. The real game begins. Now.